during the handoffs, staring in their respective cars, pulling into driveways and beeping horns as if they were engaging in some kind of late-night drug deal instead of co-parenting their beautiful little girl. Now Nick waited at the crosswalk for the light to change. Tess thought about hanging back, avoiding contact, but she was a big girl. They hadn't ended well, but they had tried to put any animosity behind them for Mattie's sake. Tess stepped up beside him, smiling at him, even though he kept his gaze straight ahead. "Nice suit," she said. "You come into a fortune you didn't tell me about, or were you hiding it all along?" Several other people gathered at the curb, but the don't walk signal remained lit. Nick took out his cell phone and glanced at it, perhaps checking for text messages, either ignoring her completely or just profoundly distracted. He'd always had a touch of what had once been called Asperger's syndrome, and sometimes would just get lost in himself. In small doses, his difficulty with socialization and with reading people's facial and verbal cues was easily overlooked, but the little unintentional hurts built up over time and had contributed to the ruin of their marriage. "Yo, Devlin," she said, tapping his arm. Nick flinched away from her, holding his phone off to the left as if he thought she might try to steal it. He gave her a down-the-nose, slightly askance look that made her feel like some kind of freak, but he said not a word. The old scars on her flesh burned for a moment before the memory of them faded, but the pain in her left shoulder and her spine, that never faded. It lingered all day, every day, so familiar that sometimes she even forgot to feel the hurt of those old injuries. Nick had not caused the accident that left her with chronic pain, but he had never understood how it had taken up residence within her. Pain was the ghost that haunted her every waking moment. He wasn't really capable of empathy, but this... "Seriously?" Tess whispered. Nick might be her ex-husband, but even at their worst, he'd never given her this cold a shoulder. "What the hell is wrong with you?" For the first time, he swiveled his head to meet her gaze, brow knitted in a deep frown. "I'm not sure what your story is, but could you maybe go psycho on somebody else?" Tess gave a hollow laugh, hating the way her gut turned to stone. This shouldn't hurt so much, but it did. God damn him, it did. "Nick, come on," she said. "Why are you—" His frown deepened and his mouth twisted in a cynical huff. "I get it now. Nick, is it? Sorry to break it to you, but you need your eyes checked. The name's Theo. Whoever Nick is, I wish him luck." Tess stared, mouth open in a little round moo of shock. She appraised him again. The chin and jawline, the ears, the cast of his vivid blue eyes, even the pattern of late-day shadow that his razor would have to combat in the morning. Thinner, yes, and maybe the circles under his eyes had vanished and he had a better haircut, but was it possible? "Well, damn," she said quietly. "I think you may have a twin brother you've never met." The man who was not Nick Devlin blinked, gave her a small scowl, and then turned to march away from her. The walk signal had lit, and the cluster of end-of-the-workday refugees spilled onto the crosswalk, striding quickly toward wherever their Thursday night would bring them. Tess stood frozen on the curb, the stream of people flowing around her, and stared at the rear of not Nick's head. He glanced back at her, and something about that glance made her wince. His expression held a flicker of fear, and his eyes hid something. And suddenly she felt like a fool. The son of a bitch had almost pulled one over on her. What an idiot she'd been to buy his spin for even a second. "You little shit," she muttered, tugging out her own cell phone. Turning from the street, she began to pace along the sidewalk, anger making her forget the pain in her back. Her foot caught an empty fast-food drink cup and it skittered on ahead of her. The wind picked up, bringing in the cold air off Boston Harbor, and she shivered as she searched her contacts for her ex-husband's name. The late afternoon